So much for joining us, Celine. Now, you have first-hand experience of working with women in conflict situations. Can you tell us about the work that your association does?
Right. So it was first a campaign. We are not weapons of war, and it became an NGO, and we are mostly focusing on sexual violence in conflict zone, but also women rights. And so we support women to actually empower themselves, and become leader in their own community.
And over the last 20 years in Afghanistan, we have seen things progress for women. Specifically, in 2009, the government passed a law protecting women from violence. That was under the presidency of Hamid Karzai. What does the Taliban's takeover mean for that legislation?
Well, first of all, yeah, indeed, that legislation was very important, but it was a 2009 legislation. And if you look at the 10 past year, I'm not that sure that there was so much of a progress, towards women, right? But definitely the Taliban will not uphold on this legislation. And legislation is one thing, but culture and all the way you look at how things should be when it comes to women take time to change. But it was very interesting in your reportage because they said it clear, they are saying, well, okay, there's no problem with women as long as they go by our rules, which means, no rights, actually. So I think legislation or not, I mean, that's terrible what is happening, because the first victims are clearly women and girls.
As you mentioned, the Taliban did initially seek to present a more modern face, saying that women would be included in this new regime. But what do you believe that involves in practical terms?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to be very careful because, they are talking right now and they are taking this posture, saying everything will be okay. Well, let's see. I don't believe a word of it. And I think, honestly, nobody does. But that's the big problem. And I have to say, it was extremely moving, this reportage, what this woman said when she said, I got all my diploma and my education, and now this became my own grave. And this is exactly the point. Women have been a bit empowered over the past year with lots of support and programs and NGOs, and they believed in that. And now they are put back again in actually horrific prison and situation. And I don't believe for a second that Taliban will uphold, any women's right in the future.
And as they mentioned there, they mentioned Sharia law, the religious dimension of what they're hoping to put in place. And in your opinion, how compatible is Sharia law with granting equal rights and their interpretation of it specifically?
Yeah, well, that's a good question because, also same, we have to be careful with Sharia law. I've been working, I worked in Afghanistan, I worked in the region. Lots of countries use Sharia law, and Sharia law can be adapted to many things. I mean, that's also source of law. So I'm just saying we have to be careful the way we use words. But when they use Sharia law, and actually, again, in your reportage, it's very clear what he was saying women can do whatever they want under the Sharia law, meaning wearing a chador or whatever, being educating according to the Sharia law, which means I believe no education or no access to work. So this is clearly for them, the interpretation of Sharia law is absolutely no right for women. They should not exist in the Afghanistan picture, and that was the case before. And I have to say also, right now we're talking a lot about Kabul and the cities and this urban area. People who are at the airport are people from the cities. Let's be aware of that. Look at the rural area in Afghanistan where they have been under this condition for so many years. So it's not going to change, it's going to deteriorate. And this is why now at the moment, this is horrible. We receive lots of message. Again, what we heard from this woman was very moving, and we cannot do anything. NGO, citizen, we cannot do anything. We are powerless. This is the responsibility of the state. We can't leave women and girls behind. We can't leave actually all these people behind. There is a responsibility of the European Union, of the international community, who already failed for so many years. And so besides the statement that they are giving now, they need to act, because we cannot abandon these people, because we are breaking the hopes we actually help them to have. So this is terrible.
Celine Bardet, thank you very much for your insight on that issue.